good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to this afternoon session on flexing your psychological muscle. We all experience stress, setbacks, and difficult emotions from time to time. And today we have Thang Mee Yuen, who will be enlightening us to remind us on how we could tap into our strengths and seek help from support systems. So without further ado, let's begin and let me introduce you to Thang Mee Yuen first. Mee Yuen is a clinical psychologist based in Kuala Lumpur, and her current primary work is focused on psychological and palliative care support to adolescents and adults with emotional challenges. She also lectures part-time at a private university and supervises postgraduate clinical psychology trainees. And Mee Yuen has been an active user of doTERRA essential oils and supplements since she joined as a wellness advocate in November 2019. So let's welcome Thang Mee Yuen. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venita, for the kind introduction. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So we always say we have an afternoon tea talk. It's just that we can't serve tea for our online talk. So help yourself to your own tea. So let me begin.
And speak louder, yeah, both speaker, a bit soft. Thank you.
Louder. Okay. Okay. So here I like to first define what resilience means, or what is mental strength. Yeah, it's very simply put, the ability to adapt well to whatever difficulties, what we call adversity, whatever trauma or tragedy, or any kind of sources of stress. Yeah, mental strength or resilience means that we have the ability to also bounce back from these adversities, right? And in most cases, we will come out stronger and better, and it's usually a newer and better version of ourselves. I always liken it to us being a ball. You know, when we throw a ball onto the ground, we expect the ball to bounce up, right? Because bouncing balls up, they will bounce up. However, sometimes when we drop the ball on the ground and the ball doesn't have enough air, it will just lie flat. It's when it's just not having enough oomph in it. So the idea here is that how can we now look for ways to sort of pump in that air so that the ball becomes bouncy again. Yeah. All right. So let's look at the profile of a person with mental strength. A resilient person. What kind of characteristics are we looking at when we want to talk about someone who's resilient? Well, these are some of the characteristics. It's a person with strong relationships. Yeah, a person with good self-awareness, able to regulate emotions, right? Have pretty strong willpower, I must say. Yeah, and a positive self-regard. What do we mean by positive self-regard? Things like self-esteem, self-worth, self-image, all these come under this idea of positive self-regard. Because without self-regard, we feel small and helpless, and we struggle at becoming what we can be. Yeah, that's positive self-regard. Another characteristics would be having realistic assessment. Yeah, assessment here as in when we want to look at things that are on our plate, for example, the kind of stressors, the kind of challenges that we have. And then we want to be able to, we're all born problem solvers. We're not the ones, we all have this actually resilience in us. It's pretty much inborn because it's a survival instinct. So here when we say realistic assessment, as in being able to look at what we have on our hands and in what way can we cope, and being realistic about it. Yeah. The other thing is being flexible and adaptive, and this is actually very important. Last but not least, it's being focused. Yeah. So I will go through very quickly in the next couple of slides, and on some ways on how we can increase our resiliency.
Mee Yuen
Okay.
can speak louder. Is that only my
Louder.
problem, or everybody can hear well?
Let me just go back to then the volume then. You want me to speak louder?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and speak louder.
Can Yogi or whoever, Nancy, Sweetie, can you all hear well?
Yes. Yes, I
Oh.
can hear well.
We can hear, I can hear, but it's
Soft.
okay.
It's still very soft?
Acceptable on my side here.
Acceptable.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I will
Louder
try
would be
to speak a
better.
bit louder then. Okay.
Thank you.
I can hear clearly.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
for your
you.
feedback, because you know, with this, I'm not very good at
No problem.
maneuvering
Yeah,
all my.
Stephanie say it's very soft. Maybe Stephanie,
Okay.
you adjust your volume to the max and see. My side here is max already. Otherwise, Mee Yuen talk until the end, then I cannot get the information is wasted. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try to speak
Thanks.
louder. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
So how do we strengthen those muscles? When we say muscles here, we are not actually, when we talk about muscle, actually the brain is a muscle, right? So here resiliency, I'm really talking about very much in here. Actually, the muscle that's resilient muscles that I'm referring to is very much up here. Yeah. So how do we go about that? Generally, five ways. Okay. Building connections. Yeah. Fostering wellness. Finding a purpose, having a positive mindset, and getting help, right? So we'll go through each one of it as we go along. Okay, so on building your connections, basically, it's just two main points that we want to remember. Actually, you know it already. We got to firstly prioritize our relationships. We go about life, we make friends, we have acquaintances, right? You know, and if we are all social beings. But what we mean here by prioritizing relationships is to actually make an effort to connect more with empathetic and understanding people, right? The focus is on finding people who are more trustworthy and who are compassionate. Yeah, and these are the people who will be there for us and who actually will validate our feelings. And these are actually very important people in our life. I often hear my son, my 15-year-old son, playing, you know, boys these days, they play online games. There was a time he said, "Whoa, these people are so toxic." I said, "Whoa, where did you learn this word toxic?" Right? So he's sort of, you know, adolescents and children who play games these days also know, they understand when you say, you know, can you prioritize your friendships? They will know. If they are toxic, so to speak, in double inverted commas, they know that means they don't feel good with them, about these people. I mean, so for us, as in, you know, how might we want to build our connections is to prioritizing relationships, people who will be those who will validate our feelings, yeah, who will acknowledge and give us a listening ear. Doesn't matter even if they don't give us any advice. Sometimes it's not about the advice that we're seeking. All right. The other one would be joining a group. So depending, you know, what your interests are, it could be groups that, you know, on maybe charitable organizations, maybe religious based. Yeah. When we say when you join a group, it's also one way to be able to connect with people. Yeah. Basically, two main points here for building our connections. All right. Fostering wellness. Fostering wellness, we cannot talk about our body, right? We cannot talk about our physical health. We've got to be able to put in effort and time to focus on this. When we say self-care, right? Self-care may be a popular buzzword these days, but it's a good practice for mental health and for building resilience. And that's because stress is just as much physical as it is emotional, right? So by promoting positive lifestyle factors like proper nutrition, yeah, having ample sleep and rest, and also hydration. Don't forget about drinking enough water, yeah, and a regular exercise can not only strengthen our body to adapt to stress, but it will also reduce the toll of emotions like anxiety and depression. Very interestingly, this word exercise, in my work, I I promote this a lot, especially when my clients who have low moods, especially. One of the things that I require them to do is actually really have movement. Although a lot of people say, no, I don't exercise, I got no time now. How to go to the gym with the CMCO and all that. But when we say exercise is really about movement, it's also the other thing that what science has discovered, or what the medical science has proven to us, is when we exercise, when we have a workout, it's not about sweating it out. It's not just only having a better body shape, for example, but the brain actually secretes the feel-good hormones. So if we overdo exercise, which you see some people may be addicted to exercise, and that's precisely it, because a result of exercising is actually having this feel-good hormones, feel-good neurotransmitters that's in the brain. So people get addicted to actually exercise, but here I'm not promoting being addicted, but I'm saying that it's good to have exercise, and this is one of the reasons. Okay, so body, mind, spirit. We also like to promote this idea of connecting to your spirituality. Spirituality here doesn't mean that you must be religion based. And what we're trying to say here is the spirituality, the essence of us being being a human. So what is this thing called practicing of mindfulness? Now, when we look at the word mindfulness, mindfulness is just very easy, simply defined as a state of mind where we are paying attention, when we are being aware of our present moment. That's mindfulness. So what are the ways that we can use to practice mindfulness? Could be journaling, and we call it mindful journaling. So when you are focused at what you're doing, as in the writing, the journaling, that's an act of mindfulness, right? And if you do yoga, you gotta have focus when you're doing yoga, or people who are you can do prayer, you can do meditation, So while you do these practices of mindfulness, just remember to focus on the positive aspects, and bring to mind the things that you're grateful for. Literally, just counting our blessings,
Just bring a spare t-shirt so they should be drenched in the...
Take a towel lah.
Someone's mind is okay. So another way of fostering wellness is to avoid, here we say avoid negative outlets. When we say negative outlets, we mean substances. Well, it may be tempting really for many people to mask pain with alcohol, with drugs, or other substances. But it is really like putting a bandage on a deep wound, So focus instead, right, on giving our body the resources to manage stress, rather than seeking to just get rid of the feeling of stress altogether. So it is really sometimes looking a little bit deeper. Okay, so now today's talk is not really about how to manage stress. It's just one of these things that it's very much a journal talk on how we can build on resilience. So another way we say is find purpose, right? Find purpose. Helping others can be meaningful. And it is in finding meaning in the activity, it helps to build on resilience. There's a saying that when we give, we get something in return, right? So through helping others, either by being a volunteer, right, or simply supporting a friend in times of need, you get a sense of purpose, and your self-worth increases, right? So here we were talking about the positive self-regard, remember earlier? So here, one way of increasing positive self-regard is to help others, right? By connecting with other people and lending a helping hand, you will grow in resilience. So another way of finding purpose is to be proactive, right? When you look at my slide here, there are 1, 2, 3, right? Basically just 3 simple steps. Firstly, very importantly, we got to acknowledge and accept our emotions during hard times. When we are angry, we say, yeah, we need to acknowledge that we're angry. When we're sad, we need to acknowledge we're sad. But it doesn't mean that when we're angry, we, kick the door, kick the dog, or, do other inappropriate way of coping, right? Acknowledging and accepting our emotions is the first step. By acknowledging and accepting, can we now, be able to then ask this big question: what can I do about that problem in my life? Yeah. And then thirdly, if the problems seem too big to tackle, so we got to break them down into small, manageable steps. Yeah. Okay. For example, if you get laid off at work, for example, and then you may not be able to convince your boss that it was a mistake to let you go, but you can spend an hour each day developing your strengths or working on your resume. So by taking initiative like this, it will remind you that you can, foster more of this motivation and purpose. Yeah. And therefore increasing the likelihood that you will rise up again during painful times. So another way of finding purpose is to move towards your goal. We've all known all about goal setting, right? Perhaps we got to just remember that to get to the big goal, it's really all the small steps that really matter. So what's one thing I know I can accomplish today that helps me move in the direction I want to go? So this is usually, sometimes I do this when I work with parents, work with the moms at the hospital. The children, well, firstly, of course, they need to accept that some of these children will not grow up to be adults, right? And it can be a very daunting and very trying experience, very stressful, just being in a hospital and knowing that the child will not get any better, right? So usually my work is really zooming into building resilience, not just in the mother, but also in the child. Could be a young child, 5-6 years old, or even the adolescent. Usually this is what I say to them. What is the one thing I can do today? Just for today. I don't need to think about tomorrow because I don't know what tomorrow brings. What is it, that one thing that I can do today to make what I want to do more meaningful? Because we sort of, like, for example, maybe the mother, caring for her sick child, and her goal is really the goal in palliative care is really helping the patient to have a good death, to have a good ending, right? So that is the big goal. But it's the day-to-day that's really hard. So we promote things like, what can we do on a day-to-day basis, rather than keep thinking about, really what the big outcome there. All right. So then there is another aspect of finding purpose is to look for opportunities for self-discovery. Self-discovery is a lifelong quest for all of us, right? There's never a time when you will actually say that you fully know who you really are, right? Well, for some of you who may know me before today, I mean, as you've known me, you do know that I actually didn't start off studying psychology back in university. Actually, my first degree wasn't even in psychology. I went back into uni again for retraining 20 years after I first graduated with a degree in mass communication. And then I went on to do a master's. Of course, before the master's, I did a postgraduate diploma in health psychology, and then I went into the master's in clinical psychology. Well, psychology is very fascinating to me because I was already on this road of self-discovery. So here, I like to encourage everyone, to look for these opportunities. Yeah, we find many ways in self-growth along the way. And And for example, right, you know, after maybe a hardship or a tragedy, yeah, people often report better relationships and a greater sense of strength, yeah, and even while feeling vulnerable. When we say people report, not just in research, but it's also in the work that I've been doing. My um, my work is very niche at the moment. So I also do other things, but the niche population that I work with is the children who are very sick. Yeah, and these are the things that you know, after the passing of these children, the mothers, when we get together, we hear stories about how they have emerged stronger. They have emerged, you know, in a way, being able to understand much more about their purpose in life. Yeah. Okay. So now moving on, we've talked about building connections. We've talked about fostering wellness. Yeah. So now let's and we've also talked about finding purpose. Let's talk about now embracing healthy thoughts. Yeah. Healthy thoughts here is literally about the mindset, right? Firstly, of course, we want to talk about keeping things in perspective. Yeah, how you think can play a significant part in how you feel. Yeah. How resilient you are when faced with obstacles. I won't go through into this. You know, what I'm trying to say is, you know, in this psychology model of how we can tackle difficult problems like anxiety, depression, we normally use this model called the CBT. CBT is not the criminal breach of trust, but it just essentially means cognitive behavioral therapy. So in this model, it's very much about how the thinking, the mindset, the thinking, the cognition, that's the C, um, influences the emotions, and from there also influences our behavior, and if they're all interconnected. So if you want to tackle things or problems, it's best to really look at, firstly, to tackle the thoughts. So you got to firstly think about keeping things in perspective. Yeah, try to identify areas of irrational thinking. Yeah, such as a tendency to catastrophize difficulties, make it bigger than what it is. Yeah, or assume the world is out to get you. Try to adopt a more balanced and realistic thinking pattern. So here we say try, right? So what I'm trying to, yeah, I also want to say what I'm trying to do is, I'm just going to just give you sort of some keywords here, but well, I plan to also do another sharing next month, where we're just going to really talk about how we can really talk about how to embrace a healthy thoughts, how to keep to a positive mindset. Yeah. The other thing that part of embracing healthy thoughts here would be accepting change. Accepting change here in the total opposite would be the denial, right? A lot of us have this. A lot of us, in fact, perhaps it's so much in us that sometimes we don't even realize that we are in denial. Yeah. So when we say accept that change, it's part of life. When you really think about it, what is permanent in this life is really change, right? Change is practically, it's just what it is. Yeah, it will be just part of life. Certain goals and ideals may no longer be maybe achievable as a result of adverse situations in our life. For example, here we you know, we're stuck here with the RMCO, and you know, I don't know, I didn't mean to talk about this, but suddenly I thought about how it was so unfortunate. Last week, a very dear friend's father, he lost a lot of money, so much money. He thought he was just going to go bankrupt, and he shocked us all. He took his life, and basically not being able to accept that being the certain goals that he wanted to retire in a very comfortable manner, but because of he lost so much money, he knew that he was not able to, and then he thought that in the next 20 years it'll be just too much a toll on his children. So anyway, yeah, so I thought maybe we learn from other people's difficult challenges. We learn to these are lessons of we learn lessons from other people's life as well. So another way to embrace healthy thoughts would be trying to maintain a hopeful outlook, right? It's hard to be positive when life isn't getting our way, yeah? So an optimistic outlook empowers us to expect that good things will happen to us, yeah? So here we would like to encourage, perhaps if you heard of this word visualization, right? Try visualizing what you want rather than worrying about what you fear, right? So the awareness must come up. The awareness comes up like, okay, I'm going to be out of a job, or my business is going to be this and that, for example. Instead of focusing so much on this fear of what might happen, try to perhaps then visualize, a better outcome, yeah? So, yeah, along the way, when you do that in your visualization, try noting any subtle ways in which you start to feel better as you deal with difficult situations. This will be very helpful. Yeah. One of the other ways of embracing healthy thoughts will be learning from our past. Yeah. By looking back at who or what was helpful in previous times of distress, right? We may discover how we can respond effectively to new difficult situations. We got to remind ourselves of where we've been able to find strength, yeah, and ask ourselves what we've learned from those experiences. Yeah, I took this this quote from the net, yeah, and I really like it. The past is to be learned from, not lived in. Yeah, people who are stuck in depression are really people who dwell too much in the past. Yeah, it's a lot in the past. And people who have anxiety, and these are the people who are have a lot of worries and a lot of fear of the future. So yeah, when we look at the two end of it, we may say that we are not a patient with depression or anxiety, but we experience these emotions too. The low moods and the anxious moods. It's part of being a human being. It's about how we regulate our emotion and how we cope with it. All right. The other thing is, we've talked about all these 4 ways now. So the 5th way is by seeking help. Yeah, getting help when you need it is crucial in building our resilience. Yeah, for many people, using our own resources and the kinds of strategies that we've talked about may be enough, yeah, for building up the resilience. But at times, an individual might get stuck, yeah, or have difficulty making progress, right? So here, when we say, it may sound like I'm trying to promote the, mental health services, but I must tell you that it is important. If it's just getting too overwhelming, it's good to contact a mental health professional, a counselor or a psychologist, yeah, because they will be able to help in in helping us in looking for appropriate strategies, yeah, to tackle whatever that's on our plate, for example, yeah. So that is very important, getting the help when the problem is just too big. Sometimes we may want to speak to a friend, yeah, and having friends to speak about our problems is great, yeah. And sometimes maybe when you go and see a counselor, you may think, why am I paying all this money? This counselor doesn't seem to be doing anything. But maybe the counselor is just being the container, being the venting machine. Yeah, one of the doctors at the hospital I work at, she used to call me a venting machine because during lunch break we would get together and she say, hey, sit down here. I just need to vent here. So So maybe, yeah, the counselor can just be a venting machine. Our friends can be a venting machine. However, venting machine also has its limitations. So friends being friends, if they're not a trained professional, you know, maybe just at that limit only. So it's good to consider, you know, getting help when you need it. Yeah. How do I get rid of this? Okay. All right. So because I work a lot with children, I thought, and a lot of us have either children, maybe we have grandkids, yeah. Maybe, you know, you might want to look into a few tips on how we may be able to help build resilience in children, yeah. And if after I've gone through all these steps, right, I like you to also be able to think about how you may use it, because not just for us to use it for our children or children around us, but it is important that if we can use this for ourselves, it's already one way of, you know, being able to build on resilience. Yeah. So the first step is let them here, you know, in reference to the children. Yeah. Let them experience disappointment so that they learn sadness doesn't last forever. Yeah. So we often you know, get very protective. We can get very protective, you know, if our children are, you know, facing disappointment, frustration. Oh, you know, it's a bad thing, you know, quickly make them feel good. Yeah. However, it is very important that they need to experience disappointment. By how do we do that? So we got to you know, teach them how to acknowledge that it is disappointment that they are feeling. For example, you know, if we're talking about maybe a young child, 6-7 years old, trying to fix a you know, Lego, for example, you know, and then after a while you notice this little boy or little girl, you know, it get into a temper tantrum and start to throw things because couldn't get it right. So actually, you know, if we want, after we've sort of calmed this kid down and say, oh, what was that all about? It's either it's a bad thing, you know, don't behave like this. It's either good or bad. But however, it's a good opportunity to teach. Yeah. What was that feeling that you couldn't get it? It was disappointment, really. You know, you were disappointed because you didn't get what you want. And disappointment is a very interesting thing, yeah. We don't get what we want, we are disappointed. We also get disappointed when we get what we don't want. Yeah, suppose I'm a kid who wants to have a bicycle for my birthday. I wanted a certain brand bicycle. However, my father bought me just maybe, you know, another different kind of bicycle. Of course, I will be disappointed, although I got a bicycle, but that's disappointment. Yeah. So step 2, validate their fears, validate this disappointment or whatever that they're feeling. Yeah. And help them make plans to do things, even if they're scared. So this is really about teaching them to accept that this is what it is. If there are things that here, you know, which has happened, yeah, and what is it that they really are anxious about? What they fear that might happen? How can we deal with it? How can we make plans? Sometimes we always have this thing called plan B, right? We always have plan B. We also have plan C. Yeah. So this is one way to teach our children how we can, you know, solve problems. Yeah. So number 3 is let them take reasonable risks and experience natural consequences. We as the adults really cannot do too much for our kids in that way, because they really need to take the risk. Of course, when we say here is reasonable, that brings to mind how there were times I used to get really flustered, you know, when my you know, trying to sort of ensure my kids don't you know, make a mistake. And then along the way, my husband was saying, you know, sometimes, you know, there are people who just need to fall into a ditch in order to learn their lessons. I was thinking, yeah, because, you know, as an analogy, we say, don't go too near to that longkang, you know, to that ditch. Don't go too near. It's so deep, you will fall, and you fall, you're going to hurt yourself. But these kids not going to listen, you know. Sometimes, if they don't listen so much, they really need to fall into the ditch to experience. Yeah, there is this pain when you don't when you don't learn to protect yourself. Okay, maybe he needed to go down the ditch, but maybe there might be one way to go down into the ditch in a safer manner. Yeah. Okay, step 4. Encourage children to try new things, make mistakes, and learn from their mistakes, right? 5, give them opportunities to make their own decisions and help them to problem solve. Okay, step 6, tell stories of people who had faced hard times. Yeah, and these people who had persisted and they grew stronger as a result. Yeah, we tell stories sometimes, not just people, stories that we read from the internet, stories that we get from the newspapers. Nowadays, people don't really read newspapers, but stories about, people around us. It is important to tell these stories because children and we ourselves also enjoy listening to stories, right? Because it's through stories that we learn that we're not the only ones in this boat going through this tsunami, right? There are people who've gone through it and have emerged stronger. Yeah, and so this storytelling it's very important, and I use it a lot in my work with the children. 7 is reframe challenges as short-term problems. Yeah, we break it down. It's not going to be forever, really. And these are opportunities for learning, to be more patient, for example. Maybe the lesson behind is to be more patient. Maybe opportunities to learn to be more persistent, for example, those things. Yeah. And last but not least here, remind them that although we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. So here it's a very important thing. I've used this a lot with the mothers at the hospital. I use this a lot with the kids. Those kids who are sick. They may be sick as in physically, but their mind is still very active. So my work with them is really about having or reorienting or changing the mindset so that the suffering it's lessened, it's reduced. Yeah. So these are the 8 ways to build resilience in children. Okay. So we've talked about the 5 ways. We've talked about ways to help children, and along the way we also learn how to do it for ourselves. I like to talk a little bit more about having resilience boosters. What are other things that we could use to boost up our resilience? Yeah, what else can be of help? So here, because we are also talking on the platform of essential oils, let me very quickly just run through it. Just this is for the benefit of some of our friends who are here who may not know about essential oil. And I'm not really going to go into detail. Just very just a quick snapshot. All right. So essential oils are really extracts from plants, right? The leaves, the bark, the tree, the roots, and so on and so forth. So essential oils is just very simply put, it's powerful aromatic plant compounds. Yeah, they are known to be 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. Yeah, and it is easily synthesized by the body. So one of the reasons why I got myself to be a user of doTERRA was because of its certified pure therapeutic grade quality. Yeah. So here I'm looking in terms of its purity, in terms of its potency, and it's been tested, right? It's been tested by independent labs as well. So this is what I bought into. Yeah. So very briefly also, another quick snapshot how essential oil helps support healing. Basically in 5 stages. Yeah, essential oil strengthen us during each of these stages here and prepare us for the next level of healing. Now, essential oils assist in healing the physical body. Now, the key word here, I like everyone to just really remember, the word here is assist. It's not meant to replace, whatever other medical treatments out there. Yeah, it's really just assisting, a complementary, not an alternative. Yeah. And also then essential oil assists in healing the heart. Heart here I don't mean the organ, the heart organ. Here it's actually the emotional, the emotional self. Essential oils, and sorry for the typo there, assist in releasing limiting beliefs. Interestingly, it helps to help shake a bit of this, this really rigid mindset, believe it or not. You've got to try it, right? Anyway, so then the next level is essential oils increase spiritual awareness and connection. And last but not least, essential oils inspire the fulfillment of our life's purpose. Yeah. So generally, essential oils, support healing in these ways. One more before I go into one more slide before I go into how essential oils can be resilience boosters. All right. So how fast do the oils work, right? When we sort of breathe it in, when we say aromatic, we breathe it in. It takes 22 seconds. The molecules reach the brain. Yeah. And then and within 2 minutes, they'll be found in the bloodstream, especially when we, put it into, when we take it internally. Yeah. In 20 minutes, these essential oils will affect every cell in the body. So in a way, it just to tell you that there are this the goodness of these essential oils, especially if they are of a pure grade. Yeah. So I like to introduce to you. I call it the Power 7 because interestingly, there are these 7 types of essential oils which might help with the building up resilience. And I didn't come up with this. I did a bit of research in a book that focuses mainly on using essential oil to help with emotional health. So what are these 7? So let's look at tea tree. Another name for tea tree is Melaleuca. Yeah, tea tree. Now we're not going to talk about tea tree in its for its physical properties, like it's it is antibacterial and all that. We're not talking about that. We're now looking at tea tree for its properties in emotional healing. All right, it helps clear negative energetic baggage. Yeah. It specifically releases codependent and parasitic relationships. Yeah. When we talk about these relationships, what do we mean? These are toxic relationships, maybe with people, may even be with microorganisms in the physical body. Yeah. So, and it helps to break negative ties so that new healthy connections may be formed that can honor one's own personal space and boundaries. Yeah. I know of a case of a man who was having marital difficulties. Yeah. So there were times that when we talk about it, and I sort of talk about how it's important to draw boundaries, draw healthy boundaries. But that really didn't go down too well with this man. Part of the reason why he was going through marital difficulties was because he happened to be what we call, in the among the Italian culture, the mama's boy. So it was very much, this man was very much a mama's boy. So being a mama's boy has got its advantages and disadvantages. So at that point in his life with his wife, yeah, it happened to be at a disadvantage. So well, fortunately, so no matter what I sort of try to talk therapy only has its limits, really. So in a way, fortunately, the wife is actually a DoTERRA user, and she was talking about how he could use a diffuser in his office because he spends a lot of time in his office. We all spend a lot of time at work. So she says things like she said, since this this COVID-19, put in On Guard and please put in tea tree, and diffuse this. Interestingly, of course, maybe we could say that it kept all this virus at bay a little bit. But interestingly, the man, as I observed, he started to be able to really literally connect better with his family, his family as in his wife and his kids, and he was able to really draw the healthy boundaries that he was I was trying to get at. Yeah. So I really thought that was very helpful. That was really the booster that I felt I needed as part of, I couldn't give him a jab, right? But I thought, since I also didn't say, use tea tree, but it was so happened that his wife said, use this in the diffuser. So how can we use tea tree when we say we want to build, part of our resilience? Because we really do need to build healthy relationship, to connect better. It's also good to be able to cut off those that do not serve us, those as in those relationships, the toxic ones. Yeah. So what are the suggested uses would be aromatic. Either you inhale from the bottle, you can diffuse it, yeah, or you could place drops in your hand, rub it, and then you put in three deep breaths, and you exhale, yeah. You breathe in 3 times through your nostril, you breathe out 3 times. As you breathe out, it's through your mouth, and then you inhale again. Second round 3 times is through your mouth and breathe out through your nostril. And thirdly, it's you breathe in and out through your nostrils 3 times. Yeah. So topically means we apply 1 to 3 drops on the bottom of the feet, yeah, or the crown of the head here, yeah. Here, or if you don't have a diffuser, maybe we could use it, put several drops in a spray bottle and mist around the whole. Okay. So another oil we could use is Helichrysum. Yeah, Helichrysum is known as an amazing healer of emotional pain. It helps to restore confidence in life and in the self, giving the individual strength to carry on. So when we are undergoing a lot of stress, challenges, when maybe our resiliency is a little bit low, perhaps, Helichrysum could be of help. Yeah. Helichrysum has a powerful relationship with the light of the sun. It imbues joy, fervor, and hope for living. You really got to. I wish if we are in a physical class, for those who do not have this oil, actually we would probably pass around this bottle and for you to have a sniff. It's literally feeling that lightness. It's very much like sunshine in that little bottle. Yeah, you probably think I'm exaggerating, but I use it a lot. I use these oils a lot when things get me down. Sometimes I reach for my favorite bottle. My favorite bottle is a blend called Passion. It really gives me that oomph, that motivation to just I'm a part-time lecturer, so I've got a lot of these scripts to mark and assignments to mark. Sometimes it's like, oh boy, so but I put a drop of this Passion and then I say, whoa, okay, I can really mark the whole day and I don't feel that dreadiness anymore. Okay, what about the next one? It's lime. Lime is another name for it. It's actually zest for life. It instills courage and cheer in the heart, and it reminds us to be grateful for the gift of life. Yeah. It also encourages emotional honesty. So lime cleanses the heart, right? Especially when there has been an accumulation of emotional toxic due to avoidance or repression. That's what we do a lot, right? We don't want to think about it. Let's sweep it under the carpet, right? And therefore, a lot of denial comes up. So lime helps this, gives us sort of, I would say, a bit of courage to face it. Yeah. And it's also and lime can also assist individuals who have overly developed their intellectual capacities. Think too much. Just use too much of this. We always use this word, too cerebral. Thinking too much here, above the jaw, not so much connecting to the heart. So they sort of, high IQ but low on EQ. So lime is a good oil to use. Yeah. So I won't go through as you're looking at the slide. So you take a quick snapshot on how you might, look at how we could use lime is through aromatically, topically, or even internally. Take it internally. Yeah. Okay. Another oil is deep blue. Deep blue is a blend, right? And deep blue, if you look at this photo, it's got a big head here. It's a small little bottle of 5 ml, but it's got a big head. I remember when Alyssa first taught me about this oil, she said, big head once, please. It's not, you cannot put it into your body. Okay, you can apply, you can use it in the diffuser. So aromatically and topically. Yeah. So deep blue is for strengthening. It's also for soothing. Yeah. It helps individuals who are resisting or avoiding the emotions that underlie their physical discomfort. A lot of us have sometimes this shoulder ache or neck ache. Yeah, sometimes it could be because we're seated in front of the computer too much, or maybe our posture is too bad. But although we have tried so much and it's not helping, think about maybe could it be our emotional baggage that we're carrying? Yeah, maybe that's one factor that we need to look at as well. So Deep Blue helps by offering us strength to face emotional wounds and allowing the wounds to surface for transformation and for healing. It's got to come up. Yeah. So another oil is Neroli. Neroli is about shared purpose and partnership, right? It's helpful for calming troubled hearts in relationship conflicts. Yeah, it invites individuals to develop the traits of fidelity, of empathy, patience, forgiveness, and resilience to help with our relationship challenges. Yeah. Two ways to use it, aromatically and topically. Yeah. When we use it topically, we could use it 1 to 3 drops over the heart, sacral, which is the lower stomach areas, and the throat, or behind the ears. And Neroli here, it's in a slim bottle. It's what we have is a Neroli touch. It's also a blend. It's already blended, so it comes in a roller bottle. We just roll it on. So we have Copaiba. Copaiba, it offers assistance to those who are caught in the lower vibrations. When we talk about lower vibrations, there is this researcher, his name is David Hawkins. So he sort of did this research bits on, measuring emotions and at what frequency these emotions are vibrating at. So when we talk about lower vibrations, it's in reference to feelings like shame, blame, fear, self-hatred, yeah, and all these are very much in the lower vibration. And these lower vibrations probably were there, came up from our early childhood, from our early environment. Yeah. So using Copaiba helps to ease the process of remorse and self-forgiveness. Yeah. It sort of invites those who have done something that causes guilt or shame to undergo this process of remorse. Yeah. So that self-forgiveness can come up smoother, easily, much more easily. Yeah. Because by acknowledging the reality of past choices and experiences allows us to grow and change in a more conscious and clear ways. Yeah. Again, there are 3 ways of using it here: aromatically, topically, or take it internally. Well, we also have this oil, the last of the 7. It's called turmeric. Yeah, I know we use turmeric in our curry and all that, but turmeric oil, essential oil, helps to give us strength and hope. Yeah, and it's very grounding. Yeah, it grounds us. We got to have this grounding feeling. When we are caught up in stress, we tend to feel very floaty. Our heart beats are actually a little bit more rapid. Yeah, you got to pay attention to all these symptoms, these physical sensations, so that when we are aware that we have all this rapid heartbeat, we take slow, deep breath. Yeah, and then we also need something, perhaps maybe turmeric, to help ground us, so that we're not so flighty. We're able to think a bit better. Yeah, it can also help to restore our faith in goodness. 3 ways to use it: aromatically, topically, yeah, and also internally. Okay, so after we've got all this, we've talked about, those 5 ways. We've talked about, the essential oil as boosters. Maybe just 3 more before we finish. Having a reflection, looking within. Yeah, especially when you want to do your mindful journaling, right? It might be helpful to, when we write about it, when we think it through. Think about what is ready to be dismissed from my life. Yeah, from the thoughts, from relationships, from activities. We really do need time for self-reflection. It's very important. People who go to therapy, one of the things that they get better is because not so much you know, they make time to sit there with the therapist, right? And in that hour, actually, when they're talking, it's just not about venting. It's also doing a lot of reflection. By talking, by reflecting, they are actually organizing a lot of thoughts in there that's hovering here. But for me, to me, really, one of the things I always tell my clients is actually do this reflection by writing it down, because you don't see your therapist every day. In fact, you probably see a therapist once a month, once a fortnight, or maybe even once a week. What's going to go on for the rest of the time before you see your therapist? It's really, you got to do this work for yourself. You do your self-reflection. You do it repeatedly. It becomes a habit. Sometimes you don't really need to write it. You get it very, very quickly, automatically. Okay. It's good to also use affirmation. Yeah. Affirmation is a statement to reprogram our subconscious negative beliefs. You know, while it's hard to, you know, do a thorough spring cleaning because it's going to take a long time, while we get to, you know, really sit down and just, you know, scrub all those corners and, you know, just scrub up all the dirt, for example, if, you know, when we're doing spring cleaning. But here for here, the mind state here, maybe try using an affirmation. Yeah. Say this aloud. Especially after you've used your oil, after you've put it on, let's say topically or aromatically, you say, I am now refreshed and ready for life. Yeah. So I thought maybe I could, you know, use a quote by Forsyth. He says that the subconscious mind is obedient when assessed and directed to change. So here we're trying to sort of use affirmation to connect with the subconscious level. Yeah. One more way is visualization. Yeah, what is visualization? Is feeling, seeing, or experiencing something in your mind's eye. Yeah, by doing that, it increases the feel-good chemicals produced in the body. Yeah, because the brain really can't tell the difference between real and imaginary. So similarly, here we're trying to promote the good, right? Similarly, it's the same thing. If we say, you know, if we focus so much on the negatives, for example, like the fear or the anxiety, yeah, you think the brain knows whether it's real or imaginary. So when we do that, a lot of cortisol will be secreted. So cortisol is a stress hormone, and we're not going to go into detail about, you know, the effects of cortisol in our body, right? So here we want to promote these feel-good chemicals in our body. So visualization is a good way. Yeah. So so how do we do that? Yeah, maybe very briefly, you take a deep breath and you allow your lungs to inhale freshness and exhale what is no longer serving. Yeah, you could do that when you know, use your oils as well. Yeah. So here we are, very quick. This is my last slide in summary. So we've talked about the 5 ways of strengthening resilience, building connections, fostering wellness, find a purpose, you know, have a positive, keeping to a positive mindset, and getting help when you really, when it becomes too big. Yeah. And using essential oils as boosters. And the 3 ways that we just talked about: have your reflections, have good affirmations, and do your visualization. So with that, that's really the end of my slide. I hand it over to Venita. If I can't check my chat right now, but if there are questions, we can do questions now. If not, you know, maybe Venita can carry on. Then maybe later on, if there are questions, then we can tackle it. Is that all right?
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So now I stop sharing.
Is
that all right? I stop sharing. Yeah. Thank you.
You can put questions when Venita is sharing her part.
Yeah. So now I
it's
stop sharing.
Very interesting talk.
Okay, I stop sharing.
Mee Yuen maybe later can give us some of your pictures. Some of these slides is very interesting about the phrase that you find, and then the essential oil that you research on it.
Okay. Oops. Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you, Mee Yuen, for a very interesting and informative session, and indeed a great reminder and to look into all these areas. And I totally agree to have all these bonds and relationships to help us with the support that we may need, right? So let's move on to doTERRA's wellness lifestyle pyramid and using natural solutions. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm using my earphone. I can.
Yes, I can.
All right, that's great.
Thanks for testing.
Yeah. The goal of wellness can be a little overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. doTERRA takes a holistic approach to combine health and wellness in all areas to achieve a balanced, healthy lifestyle, an optimum state of physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. So here we have a doTERRA's lifestyle pyramid, which I'm going to share with you. Sorry, just give me a minute. Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Right. So in fact, our body is designed to have it connected this way. So if one or more areas are out of balance, then what happens? We can get negative emotions and then our health gets affected. So with doTERRA's philosophy, here's a guide to illustrate 6 levels that are in 2 parts. As you can see here, the first 4 levels from eating right to reducing toxic load is our lifestyle. And the top 2 here is part of healthcare. With daily focus and habits, you can avoid many costly healthy interventions that are so prevalent in our society, isn't it? And the best way to achieve optimum health is to start at the bottom of the pyramid. Many people approach their health incorrectly from the top and turn first to medical professionals or pharmaceuticals. Responsibility and empowerment for one's health requires effort in the foundational areas of one's health. So let me go through each level, each tier. And as you're listening, you can rate yourself from a scale of 1 to 10 for each category. And perhaps you can put it on the chat if you like. You can even take a pen and paper and jot it down. Sorry, I'm having an issue with my mouse. Okay, all right. So what Mee Yuen actually shared on nutrition and focusing on lifestyle is what she has said, and I'm just going to add on to a bit more on each of these areas. So beginning with eating right. So this is where the foundation of our lifelong health and vitality is how you fuel your body, right? So as the saying goes, you are what you eat. So having a balanced diet with whole and fresh foods, fruits and vegetables, reducing your high sugar foods, junk foods, processed and packaged foods, can provide the energy for the daily exercise and recovery, sustain proper rest habits, and regulate your stress levels, which in turn then supports the proper function of our body systems that help maintain our long-term health and wellness, so that the need for self-care and medical attention is minimized. So how would you rate yourself from 1 to 10 on this? For me, I would say about an 8 on most days, but when I'm not being mindful of what I'm eating, it does go around to around 6 to 7, right? So how about you? Moving on to exercise. All right, now as rightfully what Mee Yuen also said, it's not only about weight loss, but it's to achieve our ideal healthy weight to prevent illnesses setting in. And having regular physical activity gives you an extended lifespan and increased quality of life through old age as well. So try to incorporate about 30 minutes daily, which can make you feel good, keeps you focused, strengthens your bones and joints, as well as giving you a healthy cardiovascular system. So get yourself started if you haven't already, and the key is to keep moving. So right, like what everyone is going through now with the current pandemic, when when you are working from home or you're sitting behind the computer, we need to stop and get ourselves moving. So just recently, I was just telling my son, and actually for myself too, when we're just sitting behind the computer for 5 to 6 hours or even longer in a day, there is no movement. So getting up and walking around, even doing an indoor workout is, which is what I do, to incorporate that movement into your daily lifestyle, can really give you all these benefits. So how do you rate yourself here? Rest and managing stress. Okay, these two go hand in hand. So when one is lacking, the other falters. Managing both allows your body to recover, renew, and achieve harmony within and with its environment. So aim to adopt a daily regimen of at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep to allow your body to recover from your normal daily activities. And the best time for our body systems to recharge and restore is from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And this is also when your body goes through detoxification. Okay, and that is why when you wake up in the morning, the next day, you get that unpleasant breath, right? And sometimes you get the discharge around your eyes. So having a good night's sleep will improve many areas of your life. And those who do like intensive exercising, then give yourself the rest days to allow your body to build up and repair, a process that gains strength and gains your strength and muscle tone. Breathing exercises, aromatherapy, meditation, or even taking up a hobby and spending time with your loved ones gives you the rest from the emotional and psychological strain. This area can be pretty challenging, and if we ignore it and carry on, then it's really gives you a brings you down, right? So how would you say you rate yourself on this scale from 1 to 10? Reducing toxic load. Wow. Okay. This one. Toxins are in our environment all around us, in our homes, our personal care, cleaning products, and in our air and water. Common toxins include synthetically produced chemicals such as trichosilin, BPA, pesticides, sodium lauryl sulfates, and xenoestrogens, which these are estrogen mimicking compounds that are not produced by our body as well as heavy metals. Okay. Now, what damage can be done, do you think, when we're exposed to these toxins? Anyone like to share? You can put it on the chat, right? Okay, it can really deteriorate our health and sense of wellness, confuse our body systems, increase systemic stress. Okay, just now Mee Yuen shared about the unfortunate passing of the person who had lost all his money. Okay, destroy nervous tissue and increase our body fat ratio. Do you know that your body naturally wraps toxins in fat in an effort to protect the body, frustrating efforts to maintain a healthy weight? Some toxins are even endocrine disruptors, right? That fool or disrupt our hormone response system, throwing the body's hormone levels off balance. How do you deal with these toxins? You know, nowadays, many are turning to green living and looking for natural solutions for our environment and for our body. Ways to deal with this? By reducing and detoxing. Reduce toxins by avoiding exposure. A large amount can be avoided by using natural products. Detox means removing the toxic buildup in your system. Detox your gut, your organs, your body systems by using natural detoxifiers. What else can we do to reduce our toxic load? Well, how about our handphones? Okay, that I think is one of the number one issues that at least I know I have, and other gadgets, even toxic relationships, right? How do you rate yourself on this one? For myself, I would say about a 6, because I have a tendency to use my phone a lot, especially at night sometimes. So switching off our phones, etc., and our laptops and other tech stuff, an hour before we sleep would be really ideal. Then this will help us to give us a better quality of sleep and better quality of life. So how are we doing so far? Are you all with me? And if you have any
Yes, very good.
questions, you can put
Listening.
them on the chat. Yeah. Okay, so we've covered our first 4 levels, right? So let's move on to our healthcare. Right. Now, informed self-care, what is this? So everything is all about keeping healthy. But sometimes with our best efforts, we sometimes experience suboptimal health conditions. Informed self-care is getting the knowledge to empower oneself in protective and preventive health measures, looking into our lifestyle and taking active steps to address the root cause of the ailment rather than just addressing, manifestations or symptoms. And checking in to see why you always feel bloated or you don't sleep well or feeling tired all the time, right? So choosing natural solutions helps keep your body free of toxins while at the same time support the body's natural ability to keep itself healthy, right? Now there are many ways we can care for ourselves naturally, like taking peppermint, for example, to soothe a sore stomach. And at the same time, being aware of using too much or too little. So isn't it better to be empowered by knowledge to take prevention rather than treating the issue? Are you taking these steps of prevention? How do you rate yourself here from 1 to 10? Proactive medical care. Now, taking a proactive role and owning responsibility for your health is very important. Instead of only depending on doctors and professionals, finding out what course of treatments you are submitting yourself into, even if it means seeking a second and third opinions. Inform yourself by asking questions to your health professionals on your diagnosis, understanding prescriptions, and knowing the treatment options. And it's about developing a relationship with your medical professional who can also be open to your input as well and desire to take a proactive role in your treatment and in your healthcare and recovery. Yes, surely seek care when it is needed. There are times when we suffer from disease or illnesses that it becomes important to immediately, look for a qualified professional for immediate help. But at the same time, be proactive rather than take a reactive approach. I remember when my husband was doing his treatment, um, I actually really bombarded the doctor with a lot of questions. I listed them down and I had to clear myself doubt. And he was very, very nice about it. And he allowed this communication. He even gave me his email and said to email him anytime should I have any questions. Sometimes my husband would say, "You're asking too silly questions," but this is me because I want to make sure that what he is going through, what treatment he's doing, medications he's taking, etc., so that we can all be there and understand what's going on and support each other. Okay, so now that I've gone through this pyramid, I hope that you will make it a daily practice to look into your lifestyle and health to achieve your feelings of wholeness. So just shifting over to our using natural solutions in our body system, as you can see over here, right? Okay, so firstly, when we want to use natural solutions, we want to be assured and know what we are using, right? Whether it's pure, how the quality is, safety, etc., right? And as Mian had already shared, that doTERRA has its own quality grade called CPTG, certified pure and therapeutic grade, giving us pure, safe, and effectiveness from the natural compounds of the earth. And you know, with modern living and agriculture nowadays, even a balanced diet may not be enough, especially if we have a compromised system. So how can we use these products? Right, so essential oils can be multidimensional compared to modern medicines. So let's take, for example, the lavender essential oil. Okay, now the lavender essential oil has some of the main constituents, uh, which is comprised of linalool and linalool acetate. They contribute towards helping to reduce feelings of anxiousness, nervousness, gives you a restful sleep, soothes skin irritations, and also helps in our cardiovascular system. And you can see right here, and I'm sorry again, my mouse, right? Okay, you can see this lavender, how it is helping in various areas of our body system, right? And then we also have another one example, lemon. Now, lemon is a great natural detoxifier. It helps not only to uplift us with our emotions, but it also helps to cleanse and detoxify our body. It's great for a tool to use in our home and kitchen. So just imagine when you want to clean the grime off your oven, right? The oily grime, you know, or any sticky residue on your surface. This lemon is really a great, plays a great role on this and removes it, wipes it down clean. So this is what it does in our body, all right? So just imagine with modern medicine, if you're taking Celebrex or Panadol for your headaches and your aches and inflammation, it only targets those areas. Does it target help with other areas of your body? No, right? So doTERRA has other products to offer as well. So as we mentioned, if you have a compromised, you know, compromised diet, you may want to add on more fuel and support to your system. So we have a trio packed here at the bottom. It's the lifelong vitality pack, which helps to supplement to fuel and support your body, along with Terrazyme, which helps support your digestion, and PB Assist to help support your GI tract as well as your digestion. And then moving on to exercise, you can see a deep blue rub tube here. Can you all see? Okay, now this is a great soother and often used before and after your workouts. And you can apply it to where it's required. So when I do my workouts, I apply it on my joints and, you know, ankles and my back, the lower back, and it gives it a very comforting sensation to give us that ease and enjoy our workout. Right? And to rest and manage your stress, so we have oils that are calming and grounding. So like I mentioned, lavender just now, to help you with a good sleep, right? This is something that is just not even, you don't have to even like, walk, a mile or something. It's just there on your bedside table if you keep it close to you, right? And so if you feel that you cannot have, you want to have a relaxing evening, and you want to have a good sleep, all you have to do is just put, one drop, rub it on the temples, on your wrists, and there you go, you know. And we also have balance here, which is a very grounding oil, and you can even diffuse these two and be in slumberland, right? This also helps to manage your stress as well. So recently, my son-in-law, who has been stressed at work, finds that he can't sleep. So my daughter just, drops, one or two drops of the lavender on his pillow, and he feels very, very comfortable and relaxed after that. Right? And to reduce your toxic load, citrus oils are very good as they cleanse and detoxify. They have this component called D-limonene, which gives this kind of property, and it helps to release toxins, right? And for your informed self-care, we have these two evergreen oils that you can use on a daily basis. On Guard is a blend oil which supports your immunity, and we have frankincense, which is known as the king of oils to promote cellular health. Right. So with that, how can we get started? How do we get started? Right. So either you can purchase at a retail price with 0% discount, or if you're looking for a smarter way, you can join as a wholesale customer or a wellness advocate and enjoy the price with 25% less of the retail price. And if you want even more added value, then you can join in the Loyalty Rewards Program, or LRP in short, where you can get points rebated into your account for your monthly purchases, which you can later use to redeem your products. Before we continue, let me just share that we are currently running a Silver Club program. And this is where we have a great privilege to enjoy a lot of promotional offers. And for this month, we have a enrollment offer where if you enroll within 3 business days of today's event and purchase a minimum PV order, guess what? You will receive a free wild orange worth a retail price of 61. Okay, and with this, if you place a single LRP order on the next month, you will then receive back 50 points into your account. Now, what are PV points? PV points are points that you get upon your purchase, and when they are rebated into your account, you use them as your cash, as like a cash redemption. And what is so great about wild oranges is one of my favorites. It is the oil of abundance, and it is a great oil to give you that energy and uplift your mood. This also has the D-limonene content, which helps to support your immune system. It's a powerful cleanser, purifying agent, and it also helps with common issues that are stated here, like your acid reflux, cold and flu, depression, gastrointestinal issues, heartburn, muscle pain, stomach ache. So many issues that you can help with this oil. Now, I'm not a doctor and I am not here to diagnose anyone, but just to share my experience, of my personal experience and others, as well as of research. So, right. Another promotion here is the Perfect 100 enrollment promotion, which is going to finish at the end of November. So, so you have a few days to to enroll if you wish to join in as an advocate or a customer with a minimum of 100 PV enrollment order, and signing up for the LRP program the following month. And on your third month, you get back 100 points into your account to redeem purchases for your next purchase. Isn't that great? So in summary, what can new members get from this? Right, so when you combine these two offers, you enroll within 3 days after this class, you get a free wild orange. Okay, number one, you start your LRP in the second month and you get 50 PV into your account. On your third month, you will receive the 100 PV points, as well as get back rebate points into your account, okay, depending on the type of package that you have subscribed. You also get free monthly items as your product of the month before ordering the 15th on the 15th of each month, right? So in total, you actually get 162.5 PV, right? Which is actually equivalent to, I think, about more than a 500 ringgit worth of products. Isn't that great for such a great deal that DoTERRA has given for now, for this month? So
Yes.
it's a great time to take advantage of this offer. Right, now DoTERRA has put together several kits for various needs and various people, right? And if you choose to purchase a kit, you will get the your membership fee will be waived. Okay, now if you want to get more details on this various kits, as well as on the other information that I shared on your LRP and points, etc., you can check with your friend who invited you here to get more information, right? Okay. So I'm just going to highlight on a few kits and you can find out more with your friend. So, right, okay, now the best way and the best price to get the essential oils is starting off with either a starter kit or a home essential kit. Okay, now by starting off with one of these kits, you are going to get the wholesale pricing, as I mentioned, for a full year, so you can purchase other items at cost, right? As well as waiving off membership fees. And you also get access to a support group platform and classes, so that we can support you and you can feel empowered, so that you can also use this for yourself and share it with your friends, right? So here are a few kits that I'm going to share. So this is the number one is the starter kit. It's a good introductory kit with 5 ml sized bottles. There are about 7 to 8 oils here, and it comes with a petal diffuser. Okay, and on set number 2 is the aroma touch technique, which is used more for massage, and this comes also in 5 ml bottles, but it also includes a fractionated coconut oil, and you get these extra 3 oils as well that are stated here. And then we have these family essential kits, which are 5 ml bottles each. There is 10 oils, a mix of single oils and blend oils, with a diffuser as well as the fractionated coconut oil, which is at 835 ringgit with the 150 PV, right? And moving on to the home essentials kit, which is what I was sharing just now, that you can use on a daily basis. This comes in, this is the same as the family essentials kit, but this comes in 15 ml bottles, except for the deep blue bottle that always comes in a 5 ml, right? But the rest comes in 15 ml, right? With the diffuser and the fractionated coconut oil as well. Now, here you are getting 3 times more in a bottle, right? Here you have it in 5 ml, here you have it in 15 ml, right? And you are getting it at a price, a good price of 1,300. Now, the oil is 3 times more, but not the price, right? So this is a really good offer to look into, right? And you get a total savings of 944 ringgit here. So that's it for the kits that I'm sharing for today. And like I said, if you'd like to find out more on the other kits, maybe you want to know on, the bigger kits, or the other type of kits, you can check with your introducer. So what are the type of classes that we have to offer and that we've been doing? We have essential oil do-it-yourself classes, such as your lip gloss, lipstick. I'm actually using that today. Okay, it's natural, so I feel very good. I will just show you this, if you guys can see. I recently attended this, so yeah, it's natural and it's moisturizing your lips as well. Okay, and we have a lip balm and we have a balm and as well as a bath bomb. We also have massage technique classes, 5 hand therapeutic techniques, head therapy, breast massage, facial gua sha, symphony of the cell, and simple technique of 1-4-2 breathing. Now, doTERRA's mission is changing the world one drop, one person, one community at a time. So with every purchase of a bottle that you get, you are not only empowering yourself, but you are empowering your friends, your family, and the community, right? And here I'd like to give my gratitude towards doTERRA, and I'm very grateful that I got to know them, because as I've been using these oils and products for more than a year now, I can say that I'm very, very comfortable because I feel very safe, because we're using it on our skin. And if we're also taking it internally, we want to know, as I mentioned earlier, what we are using, right? So I feel very comfortable to use this for my husband, my children, my friends, and anyone who wants to know more about this as well, right? So what is your takeaway for today? Do share, do let us know, do give us your feedback. And that's it for me for now. Thank you all very much. And if you have any questions, we can move on to that. I will pass the floor to Alisa. Thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Venita, for your wonderful sharing. Yeah, you actually asked a lot of useful questions along when Mee Yuen is explaining about her teaching. You gel it very well in your application. That's wonderful. So let me check Mee Yuen, look at the chat. Any questions so far?
Well, I saw your question. You said to share maybe some real life cases.
Yes, that would be good. Yes.
Yeah. I thought, yeah, I was thinking about it, but I thought maybe I would like to sort of, I was recalling, and I thought, last November I joined as a member. So, and then by December I was introducing it a little bit with the children I was working with at the hospital, and then you know, by March I was not allowed into the hospital anymore because of the RMCO and everything. So, which means that actually I didn't really have much opportunity, that much of opportunity to use it very much. But there were a few cases that I used it for. What came to mind was there was a little girl who was about. And again, this oils I used was not for the one that we talk about, not so many of the ones that we talked about today, yeah. But if you ask me about how I've used oils to help some of the people that I work with, so there was a little girl who was about 4 years old and diagnosed with leukemia, and she was very difficult. She was crying all the time, very uncooperative, because it was too traumatic with all this needle poking, and it was really too traumatic. So she was referred to me because the doctors couldn't tolerate the crying, the kicking. And if there was one point where there was a pregnant nurse who was trying to adjust the drip or something, and got kicked in the stomach. Yeah, so they said, okay, you know, Miss Tan, go and have a look and have a chat with her. This little girl was just not responding, didn't want to talk to me, didn't want to play, nothing. So then I of course talked to the mother more. So along the way, I sort of thought, you know, there was so much. Sometimes this kid was in so much distress that I also was at a loss. I didn't know what to do. And then I was talking to the mother, and I saw her using this oil, which we use it. This family is Indian, but mom was using this oil that I used to use for my baby at that time. It's called the UE oil, that is to get rid of the wind. Yeah, this is oil that we use for babies. So then I sort of have a casual chat, and I said, so you use oils, huh? Then he said, yeah, it's just to sort of soothe her and calm her, you know. After a bath, you know, somehow she will feel much comforted and not much bloating. And I said, oh, okay, if I were to give you, you know, like a little blend of oil, and these are essential oils, and they are also, you know, sort of very quick. I didn't mention brand and all that because, you know, I work at a hospital. My work is supported by an NGO. So I'm not a staff of the health ministry, and my work is just 8 hours a week at the hospital. So it's not I was very aware, it was not a place for me to push anything else. So anyway, I said, by way of sharing, would you like to try it? The mother said, okay. And so I sort of put a blend, which, because bearing in mind this child was only 4. So I said, okay, you know, you sort of rub it on, you know, on the soles of the feet and along the spine, you know, just that. It's you would do with the UE oil. Yeah. And she said, yeah. So instead of doing the UE oil, if you can, maybe once a day for the UE oil, and this blend that I give you also once a day, but maybe you do it in the evening or you do it in the morning, yeah? Because mother was very used to using the UE oil. So over time, you know, for a couple of weeks, this kid was just really not responsive, until one time I didn't see that they went home for a bit and came back for the next round of chemo. I was surprised because this kid was just inviting me for conversation when the mother stepped up for a bit. And she wanted to play with me, and I was like, whoa, what was this? Why was it this time was so different? I mean, I didn't see this kid for a bit, and then the mother said, you know, we went home, I still continued to use the oil. So I told the mother, I said, there's this difference in your child, yeah. She seemed more upbeat, she's no longer cranky and not so moody. And the mother said, yeah, even at home was like that. Now she hated to come back to the hospital, it was like that. And the mother herself, not me, the mother herself said, could it be, Miss Tan, it's the blend of oil that you gave me that sort of uplifted her mood and sort of made her feel less distressed. This was coming from the mother, and I thought, yeah, it could very well be that, you know. So that was one case. Then there was another case. There was a 13-year-old girl was already in and out of hospital for a long time, also for leukemia. At one point, we thought she couldn't make it. And what complicated her case was that she had this recurrent chicken pox that wasn't going to go away. You know, she would get well, and then after that she came back again. It was really hard. I was very heartbreaking because this was a child, a very pretty 13-year-old, and you know, she just became skin and bones. It was very heartbreaking. But somehow along the way, of course, when we connect with each other, we would talk about stories. We share Korean dramas. We talk, yeah. So in a way, I would say that our rapport was pretty good. But there was one time I thought she was in so much pain that you know, she was already asking for a lot of morphine, and then the doctor said, you know, we've already given, so you can't give it all the time, you know, you just got to bear with it for a while. So I asked the mother, is it okay if I you know, use some oils to I said it's not minyak angin, you know, it's essential oil, and it's halal because it's a Malay family, a Muslim family. And then we went on, and mother said, you do lah, whatever you want to do, because you know, we don't know what else to do. And she looks for, and the girl looks forward to my visit. So when I asked the girl whether she would, you know, be receptive, and I used you know, this the symphony of cells, like, you know, the layering, just layering along the back. And it was very heartbreaking because, you know, it was all very dry skin and very scaly. But you know, I used the fractionated coconut oil, and I used all this layer, and there, you know, just when I finished or everything, there will always be a smile on her face, and then she will snuggle back into her bed, you know, under her quilt, and she says, "Thank you, Miss Tang. Now I think I can sleep better." So we've used it a few times, and her moods just, you know, really improved. I cannot tell you that it helped with her cancer. I can't say that, but she responded a lot better with a mindset and an attitude towards treatment, towards a lot more things, like, you know, what were the things in control. Of course, we also talk about, like I said, you know, talk therapy, building her resilience and all that. So the essential oils that I used with her was very much like a booster. So it was with good news that she eventually responded very well to the chemo, and I think she's gone home. Like, you know, she's just gone on to now schools are closed. She could have gone back to school, but yeah, she's gone back home, and yeah, so she's in remission, which is great. Yeah. So basically just two short stories, if that's okay. Maybe another one, and I was seeing this boy who was, since he was 12. This is in private setting, not at a hospital. Then, you know, he would come regularly because he had a very short focus and attention. So we worked mainly on that. And also over time, we discovered actually he's got a lot of traits of the autism spectrum. Although he did not fulfill the criteria of being a person with autism, but it was very hard for him to sometimes being able to express himself, you know. And there was a time, even I didn't see him for a long time, and then 2 months, like 2-3 months, and then finally mother said, no, he wants to see you. I said, yeah, sure, come and see me. So, and then the boy was, you know, along the way, do you want to talk about this and that? Finally, almost end of the session, he said, do you know what happened to my parent? I'm thinking, parent, your mom brought you. Usually it's parents who brought him. That father would be, you know, driving the car. It's like, parent, why would he say parent? I said, what is it? Didn't my mother talk to you? I said, no, I didn't. Your mother didn't say anything. What is this parent? Is it about your father? And then he kept quiet for a while, and he said, my father died. I said, what? I was really in shock. I said, how did it happen? So father died while in a marathon run. Okay. So the family it was too shocking, you know. It was now two months later. So, and I said, okay, I got to see you the following week, and we need to talk about it. What else do you want to know? What do you expect me to tell you about, you know, someone who's lost his loved one? I was like, whoa, yeah, what do I expect you to tell me, right? So then I said, well, maybe I just needed to be there for you. Just sit and just maybe, even if you don't want to say anything, yeah? Then he said, fine, I'll come, you know? So by the time he came next, I gave him, and his mother, I gave him a bottle of console. Yeah, it's for the grief. So he's got a twin brother. So I said, you share this with your twin brother, and the other bottle is for your mother. And if your sister is receptive, maybe your sister could also use it. Yeah. So and so I didn't see them because then RNCO came, so I didn't see them. So it was sometime in May or June. I saw him online. So then I asked him how he was coping. Apparently he was coping much better. I said, have you finished the oil? He said, finishing. So you've been very good boy. You've been using the oil. He said, yes, I've been using the oil. I said, how about mom? Has mom been using? He said, I think so, you know. And but when I checked in on him, as in, I could see that he was able to express himself a little bit better. Not so hard, you know, not so clam up like the first time I saw him 2 months after the death of his father. So if you, so I the rest of the other experiences are actually my own personal experiences, but that, you know, we could go on and on. So I'm also quite mindful of the time. So basically just 3 short sharing. Yeah, I didn't check the chat if there are. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that would be all the Q&A, I suppose.